Today I made Shakshouka for breakfast. Eric had a friend coming over, so we needed breakfast for three. Now, will be the first to say this is not an authentic Shakshouka recipe. This has an Indian twist or desi twist. I have noticed that a lot of Americans simply won't make certain dishes because they feel they don't have exactly what they need. Or in an effort to be authentic, they'll go out and spend like $12 on a jar of harissa paste that they'll never use again, and that drastically drives up the per cost serving. And so as a result, most Americans don't really benefit from they don't really realize the cost savings of eating at home like they could. So let's look at this shakshuka version with a desi twist. So I have paneer, which I've made myself. I have green peppers there. I have 6 eggs. I'm budgeting 2 eggs per person. We have 3 people. I have, like I said, that paneer, I made it myself. I'll show in another recipe how to make paneer, but you can totally just buy paneer at your Indian grocery store. And like I said, that's also capsicum, also known as shimla pepper or just like bell pepper. I cut up 1 cubanelle pepper. Now, I wanted to use cubanelle, but this gentleman who's coming over, he is a Caucasian man. I don't know his heat tolerance, so I'm soaking it in some water to suck out some of the natural heat. I also have 1 full red onion. You saw cilantro there. I have red pepper in a jar. I have a can of chickpeas. I have an entire 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. Now, I recommend that you use a can of diced tomatoes rather than fresh because the quality in that diced tomato is going to be better than just like the typical loose tomatoes you find in the grocery store. The tomatoes you buy in the grocery store are bred for ability to not bruise rather than for taste. Okay? I'm also going to use a heaping teaspoon of this Hunt's tomato paste. You can use any tomato paste that you want. I wish I had a different brand. That's what I have. That's optional, by the way. A lot of this is optional. I'm also using cloves, cumin, red Kashmiri chili powder. Don't use regular chili powder. Use Kashmiri chili powder, which is not spicy. I'm using cardamom and turmeric. Now, what if you didn't have all of those? That's okay. All of those are actually optional. The most important flavors here are going to be your garam masala powder, which you can buy at the grocery store for like $1.50, $2. At the Indian grocery store. Don't buy it at the white people grocery store because it's going to be so expensive. Buy it at the Indian store. And then you also need salt and pepper. Okay, so I'm starting my heat just below medium heat. I put about 1.5 teaspoons of oil and also butter. Anytime that you see oil and butter used, it's because you're going to get the best of both worlds, the butter flavor and the not burning effect of oil. Okay, and here I've tossed in 2 bay leaves. Oh, I think I didn't mention bay leaves, sorry. Bay leaves and 1 cardamom pod and 2 cloves, and also about maybe a teaspoon of cumin I threw in there. I like to buy my bay leaves from the Indian grocery store. Not only do they cost less, but they are really more flavorful. They're the different kind of bay leaf. Okay, after a minute of sauteing, I did fish out my 2 cloves and my cardamom pod. I'm not going to be able to find them easily after that, and I don't want anybody to bite into that. Right now I dumped in an entire well-chopped onion. I used a red onion. And I'm just going to let these onions get a little bit golden and soft. Okay, and I am about to fish out my bay leaves here because, they've done their work now. They have imparted a good amount of flavor. So I can remove them. Oh, I completely forgot to tell you garlic. I'm adding a heaping teaspoon of garlic. That's probably the equivalent of 3 cloves of garlic. I'm adding it now after I've already sauteed and softened my onions because garlic does burn easily. And if you burn your garlic, you're going to get a weird off bitter taste to your dish. So try to wait to add that garlic. All right, now we're adding our spices. From the top at 12 o'clock, you can see I have turmeric. Then to the side, I have my red Kashmiri chili powder. Again, that is not regular chili powder, it's not spicy. Then I have garam masala. I have crushed black pepper, and then I also have salt. We will be using way more salt than this, but this is just what we're starting with. Now, if I were making this for just myself and Eric, I would be using probably double of that. Okay, I'm going in with about 3/4 of my can of chickpeas. The rest I'm going to save for a snack later. Um, Now I'm adding both of my shimla or uh, bell pepper. And sorry, English was failing me there for a moment. My bell pepper and my cubanelle pepper. Um, the most important thing about being a host is making food that people like and that they can eat. I don't know this gentleman. He is a Caucasian man, and I have cooked for Caucasian people who thought smoked paprika was spicy. Okay. So it's not my place to judge. Okay. As a host, it is my job to give something that is tasty to someone that they can manage to eat. Okay. So as a result, I am making this a significantly less flavorful than I would normally make it. Okay. I just went in with a heaping teaspoon of my tomato paste there, and I'm stirring it in. All right, and I'm adding my roasted red peppers that I had jarred. That was just a Walmart brand. This adds a really nice little bit of sweetness. It complements the natural sweetness of our tomatoes. And a word about authenticity, like I was saying before, um, I have seen people, go out and buy a $12 jar of harissa paste in an attempt to be authentic with this. And, okay, going in with our entire can of diced tomatoes, including the water that was in them. Um, Authenticity is a good thing to strive for in recipes. It's good to try the quote unquote original way. I do agree with that. But there are a lot of things that the home cook needs to consider. Health. I first learned to make warlapan, which is like South Indian style, from Muslim people when I was a kid. And if I had continued to make it that way, like I just thought this is the way to make it, and that's why I never made it because I'm like, I'm gonna blow up if I eat this all the time. Like it was not healthy. Then I had the great pleasure of learning how to make this from like Hindu housewives. I learned they make it quite differently, and to my mind, not to my mind, it is healthier the way they make it, on, on average. And so you don't need to learn like whatever you think is authentic. You need to also consider the health, what tastes good to you, right? Um, what, um, okay, I put a lid on my pot. I'm going to let that cook for like 10 minutes. I've also put my spices away, clean little by little as we go. The only thing I'm going to keep out is my salt and pepper because I'm surely going to need that again. All right, so I have now, after 10 minutes have passed, I went to go clean my house. I now have removed all of the stuff that I had in the pan. I've put it onto these paper plates. Yeah, it's convenient. If you don't like it, you don't have to use paper plates. I'm all about making life easy for myself because I actually cook at home. And I'm going to let this cool off because 2/3 of this is going to go into the blender. Reason being, I saw a video from America's Test Kitchen, wonderful channel, and they made Shakshouka, and they said that they found that if you have a lot of chunky stuff like this in with your eggs will not cook evenly. Good point. I want my eggs cooked evenly. But on the other hand, if I put all of this in the blender and I just puree it, I kind of feel like I'm eating baby food. I don't want that. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself the best of both worlds. 2 of these plates will go into the blender, and then that puree is going to go back into the saute pan to cook. And then the final third will be left over remaining after the eggs have cooked in the puree, so that I can add that back to the sauce. So that way, like I said, I'm getting the best of both worlds here. Okay, so I've pureed 2/3 of this. I have this on like a low to medium low heat. Stirring it up, we're getting it back up to temp. It's going to thicken quickly, so you'll want to keep an eye on it. Keep stirring so we don't have any like popping and bubbling. I am adding a little bit of salt. Want to go slowly adding the salt. Now our sauce is thickening quickly. I'm going to make little wells here in the sauce, and I'm going to one by one pour in eggs that have been liberally seasoned with salt and pepper. And I did that around 6 times, as you see with my eggs. I've also topped this with my yummy paneer. Now I'm going to top the lid here, and I'm going to let this cook. It took about 10 minutes on I actually lowered the heat quite a bit more. 10 minutes for the eggs to set, and then I just topped it with the remainder of my unpureed chickpea tomato red pepper mix. And then I also topped it with cilantro. I recommend that you budget about half of a loaf of some crusty bread. Like crusty French bread is just perfect with this. About half a loaf of toasted bread per person. Let me know if you try this.